Look around the room, for those of you who are here, for those of you who are out in the world, so to speak. Look who you are with. And realize that as you're looking at that particular being, and you're blessing that being, you're conferring life upon that being, you're inviting yourself to see who they are. You're inviting yourself to see the light that lights up every individual that comes to the planet, the same light that was activated and was so luminous in Jesus the Christ and every avatar that has walked the planet. That light is within us all, and that light is our life. That light is our real identity. As you were looking at each other and conferring a blessing upon each other, what you were looking at, you were looking with. You were looking with the luminosity of your being. We come to the Agape International Spiritual Center to wake up to this truth. For those of you who are new here, this is not my real voice. It's my Harry Belafonte voice. It has a little husk in it. And I imagine by next week, it will be totally back. But I was not going to not be here because I love what I get to do. I'm honored and privileged to be here on a regular basis for 37 years, to speak the word and to allow the word of the Most High to use me in such a way that I have seen lives changed from glory to greater glory. As you heard in the reading, our theme of the month is be unreasonable. In your thinking, be great. You've heard the depth of that reading speak about the fact that we must go beyond reason in order to allow the miracle zone, that which is out of time and space, to begin to interrupt our human experience. It's called human interruptus, our present paradigm. The bane of the human experience is that individuals think within reason. This is the way it is. This is the way it's always going to be. And oftentimes human beings only play within the realm of what they know they can do. Therefore, they don't stretch themselves into the realm of that which is beyond their reason. They live from the historical, ego-bound self that says, this is the way it was, this is the way it is, and this is the way it's always going to be. Where the spiritual aspect of ourselves says, there is more than what we can see. So you are either operating from your historical, ego-bound self, this is the way it is, this is the way it's always going to be, or as a spiritual practitioner that's into affirmative prayer, the sacred art of meditation, the sacred art of life visioning, sacred service, you're hearing this spirit saying, there is more than what you can see. And then you begin to discover that beyond your plans, within the limited paradigm, beyond what you think you can do, there is an emergence of something beyond your present way of thinking that begins to take over. You stretch and you begin to discover aspects of your own being that you did not know that were even there. The egoic, historical, bound self says, it creates a positionality of this is the way I've always been, this is the way my parents were, this is what I've inherited from my family, this is the experience I've had up to this particular moment, and live within that domain. While there is something brooding deep within you that's trying to say beyond your reason, beyond your reasonable thinking, there is something trying to emerge. You have to give it permission. You have to have a depth of spiritual practice to allow it to emerge, to absolutely interrupt your present way of thinking. I should say present way of thinkingness, because that is not real thinking. Real thinking is called inspiration. That is the voice of the presence moving through you as a new idea, a new possibility, a new way of being, a new way of thinking, a new way of walking and talking and acting. That's inspiration. Thinkingness is mentation, the regurgitation of the way that the ego is always thinking. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough resources. Everything is all I got. If I didn't have any bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. You know, the ego has a way of keeping you small, whereas the spirit has a way of making you tall. And so we're saying today in this month, be unreasonable in your thinking, and then be great. Because as the reading indicated, the moment that we stay within reason, we project our greatness onto special people. Those people are great. Those people are brilliant. Those people are magnificent. Those people are special. We unconsciously bury our greatness, and then we project it onto others, thus living a life of same old SOS, same old stuff every single day. But as the reading indicated, Walter Russell said this powerful statement that mediocrity is self-inflicted. Genius is self-bestowed. So when one goes into their practice, one goes into the substance of spiritual practice, knowing that wherever you are is simply a beginning. Go into your spiritual practice knowing that wherever you are, you're just starting, regardless of where you think you might be on the bell curve of evolutional consciousness. You're always just beginning, and there's more that's seeking to express through you. And so on a personal level, we want to be unreasonable with ourselves. We want to wake up every single day with the awareness that this is a new beginning. There's something outside of our present paradigm that's trying to burst through. And so we don't measure our days. I'll jump to the how right quick, and then I'll continue because it's just coming. We don't measure our days like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, stuff like that. We measure, instead of the days of the week, we measure our days by the miracles that happen every week. And so we begin to fine-tune our awareness to notice that whenever what the mind may call a minor miracle, or what the mind may call a win, we measure our days by that, so that it keeps lifting our awareness into that which is beyond time and space, so that takes us into a trajectory of beyond reason. So it's not Monday, it's not Tuesday, it's, oh, guess what happened today? I got this call that I was totally unexpected to get, and somebody gave me some praise, some love, some support. I got this thing in the mail. Something happened that I was working really, really, really hard. I just knew nothing was going to turn out right. And then suddenly, everything seemed to be okay. You see, you start to measure your days by the miracle zone, so that more and more and more, you're coming out of reason. And more and more and more and more, you're expanding your awareness to the absolute presence that is everywhere all the time, being itself, waiting for your graciousness enough to receive the blessing that is always being given. Now, this is not merely on the personal level, it's on the world scale. We have to think beyond reason. We have to think beyond rules of war to know war. That's beyond reason. We hear governments talking about, well, we have to stay within the international rules of war, you know, and if we stay within the international rules of war, and then we have acceptable casualties on either side. No, that's reasonable thinking. We want to be evolved spiritual beings. We want to think unreasonable. No war at all. No casualties at all. Every single being is precious. There aren't any more precious people on what the ego would say, one side or the other. That's reasonable. We want to go beyond reason. The evolved being is not trying to win a war. The evolved being is trying to stop war, period. And so we're stepping into an awareness of going beyond reason, because if someone does not live beyond reason, then there will be a continual repetition of the lowest frequency in the human dynamic, which is competition, stealing, plundering, war upon war upon war. Some beings have to step up and say that that paradigm, that reasonable paradigm of might makes right, must come to an end. That there is an emergence created by emergency. There's an emergence of something that is beyond reason, so that individuals do not get caught up and hijacked into the present conversations of the day, which are within the old paradigm of might makes right. Who's wrong and who's right? Who hit me first? You remember kindergarten. The teacher says, stop fighting. And someone says, well, he hit me first. No, well, she called me a name. No, she stole my lunch money. And it exacerbates into adulthood, where you have men, I have to say men, where you have men running countries, plundering and stealing, moving through the consciousness of imperialism and colonialism, which are reasonable to countries that are trying to control the world, so to speak. We must go beyond reason. We must be unreasonable, so that the miracle zone can begin to take over our life. In other words, where there is no vision, there is division. Where there is no vision of possibility, then there is division. So thus you hear today, we must know our position, but we must hold the space for possibility. We must hold the space for possibility. Everybody has a position on everything. You have a position about your family. Well, cousin so-and-so, he's always been crazy. You know, so-and-so was the smart one in the family. So-and-so will never be successful. We all have positions about every single thing going on the planet. This person's right, this person's wrong, whatever the case may be. We must let go of our position and hold a place for possibility. That's where the work is. From position to possibility. This is spiritual practice. Thus, when we label our days by the miracles that happen, you're more apt to catch inspiration, and you're more apt to catch that which is possible through means of us. Feel into this with me for a moment. Feel into this vibration. Take a holy breath here. And hear this. The world will not change until we supersede the need to be right with the desire to love. Your desire to love must supersede your position of rightness. Until that happens on a mass scale, the world will continue to deliver the nonsense that we see on the news. Hate, bigotry, racism, stealing, plundering, colonial consciousness. Your desire to love must supersede your desire of being right in your position. You did not come to the planet to perfect your judgment. You came to the planet to perfect your loving. Now, every spiritual path with heart speaks that. Now, of course, many of the religions don't speak to it. I can remember back in the day, and it still happens today, where you have Christian churches christening warships, blessing war, going totally against Jesus, blessing war. The spiritual evolved are not trying to win a war. The spiritual evolved are trying to create a world where that doesn't exist, where there is a realization of the sacredness and the preciousness of every life, and that there is a communion and a communication, And there is a mediation. There is something else. Now, everyone has a position. I mean, I know history. I have a position. I know history. I know the beginning of colonialism and imperialism. It began in Great Britain that took over India and Africa, and then its wonderful cousin that broke away, America, continued that dynamic of imperialism and colonialism. I know all of that. I am not ignorant to the fact that precious lives were kidnapped and stolen from Israel. But I'm also aware that it didn't start on October 7th. That happened way before that. And it continues to happen. I'm not ignorant. I know that you're getting the news on your CNN and your MSNBC and your Fox and your very small curated. I know all that stuff. But as a spiritual teacher, I have to rise above the fray of the nonsense that we get on a regular basis. Because someone has to be a lightning rod. A community has to be a lightning rod. Spiritual practitioners have to be a lightning rod to that which is beyond reason, that which is beyond right and wrong. As Rumi would say, I'll meet you in that field that's beyond right and wrong. I'll meet you there. That is beyond that, in order for the next great spiritual impulsion for humanity to emerge. In other words, we're not just here to get what we think we want to be happy. We're not just here to win battles. We are here to win the battle of our own soul so that we become available to that which is trying to emerge, nothing less than that. We become aware of our own positions, be they historically right or wrong, but more importantly, in our prayer life, our meditation life, our service life, even in our conversations, even when it's difficult, we're holding a space for what's possible. Even though it's unreasonable. It is unreasonable to talk about a world without war. It's unreasonable. We have millions of people that died in Sudan, in the Congo, in Israel, in Palestine, and 30-something other wars on the planet. It's unreasonable for human beings to come together and say, oh my God, it's unreasonable to think about that not existing. But if someone doesn't re-enchant their imagination to the possibility, it will not happen. So we don't come here just to soothe our soul and comfort ourselves with the way things are. We come to vision that which could be. And hold that space within our own soul so that we are clearing up the landmines in our own awareness. We're clearing up the bombs in our own awareness. The resentment, the animosity, the rancor, the desire to be right. We're clearing that up in our own awareness so that our field of consciousness is clean and pristine, not given over to judgment and self-righteousness, not given over to hate and separation. Without a vision, there is division. The presence of God does not divide. The presence of God multiplies. It multiplies through the magnification of the presence of God. Our soul magnifies the Lord. Our soul magnifies the presence. All real spiritual beings. I'm talking about practitioners. I'm not talking about merely licensed practitioners. I'm talking about those who burned the midnight oil. This last week, I couldn't sleep. I had to get up and just meditate, pray, so I would not be caught in the undertow of the conversations that were happening. I'm not saying people shouldn't be protesting. I'm not saying they shouldn't be activists. But they must be guided by a vision of every life is precious, guided by a vision of love on this planet, guided by a vision of not winning a war, but an end to war, guided by a vision of a whole new human that is trying to emerge. Do you realize that that's why you pray? You don't pray just to get a parking spot. That's a lot of effort to get a temporary place for your car. You know what I mean? I had to walk a whole block. You needed the exercise. You are praying to be a whole new you. That's why you pray. You don't pray, God, give me a blessing. No. God has already blessed you. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. God is love. God is abundance. God is peace. God is beauty. God is intelligence. God is joy. God is life. You are praying to become a whole new you, to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Not to be conformed to the world as it is, but to be transformed by the renewing of your mind that has been hijacked by what is reasonable. So when you hear the different leaders of government speaking, well, you know, we have international rules of war, and there are rules of war, and there's acceptable casualties. Understand that that's in a limited, unevolved paradigm. It's limited and unevolved. Spiritual people, artists, mystics, meditators, they are holding the frequency for the next stage of unfoldment, the next stage of evolution. They know what's happening within the world, and they may have their position around it, but more importantly, they're holding a space for what's not possible with humans, but is possible with God consciousness. All things are possible with God consciousness. If we have the strength, the endurance, here it goes. The race is not given to he or she who is swiftest or fleetest of foot, but to the ones who endure to the end. That's not a marathon. That's a way of life. The ones who endure to the end of an old paradigm and the beginning of a new paradigm. I'm inviting all of us to create for ourselves a way of life. We are measuring our days by the miracles that occur. Someday your miracle may only be, I woke up today. I was so heavy with stuff on me that I didn't want to wake up, but I woke up anyway, and I got new energy. Someday your miracle may be you got a phone call that somebody asked you to pray for them. And you thought you were burnt out, but when somebody said, would you pray for me? Suddenly a burst of energy came up. And you could be there for them. Where did that energy come from? That's the miracle of the presence. Your day may be fraught with what your mind may call a minor miracle, or maybe something very large for you. But begin to measure your days by the miracles that are occurring, and you will slowly slip into the timeless, absolute miracle zone. And then you will become totally unreasonable. People will say, you come from a family that's never been successful. It's not in your heredity. And you'll be so unreasonable that you will reveal health and dynamic prosperity and love and peace of mind and true well-being. You will walk in the vibrational feeling tone that everyone out there is not special. Everyone out there is unique, and you have that same uniqueness of greatness. Be unreasonable. Be great. Hold the space, not your position. And then watch. Is that which is perennially being and giving of itself gets to give itself through you. In that field, beyond right and wrong. Let's meet there every day during our prayer times. Let's meet there every day during our times of meditation, our times of study, our times of just being stuck on the freeway. You got no place to go. You might as well take a couple of breaths. God, I can't go anywhere. God is giving me a moment to breathe and to bless all of these sweet beings around me blowing their horn. God, that horn is a shout out from God to say, be vigilant, be still. Where there is no vision, there is only division. Step, step, step into being unreasonable in your thinking today. It's necessary, because the moment we leave here, someone's going to challenge your unreasonableness. You're going to turn on the news and they're going to tell you everything to be reasonable within a certain paradigm. But you're going to have to breathe and say, I'm measuring my days by the miracles. I'm measuring my days by what's trying to emerge. I'm measuring my days by being pulled by the strange attractor field called the next stage of my unfoldment. Because who I used to be, I'm not, and I'm not who I'm going to be. What I'm going to be is pulling me. It's pulling me. It's pulling me. It's pulling me. And I'm saying yes to it. I'm surrendering to the next stage, my own unfolding. Oh, can we do it together? Yes. Can we say yes together? Yes. Can we rise together? Yes. Here's the beautiful thing about it. As Reverend Susie and I were talking about, we might be in the conscious minority. However, any thought that emerges from a sense of unity and vision is way more powerful than thought forms emerging from a sense of separation. Doesn't matter how many, we're way more powerful than all the people of the world who have taken sides. We're way more powerful. Something is going to emerge on this planet. It's called the next human cosmos. Human cosmos. Human cosmos. You'll still be able to celebrate your ethnicity, where you were born, sexual orientation. You'll still be able to celebrate all that. But you'll be operating from a higher frequency. Got it? Feeling it? Let's turn within for a moment. And let us move into this sacred prayer moment where we get to participate in the uplifting of our consciousness. Feel into this right now.
Let us each and all take this moment to turn within. Let us each and all take that holy breath, uniting us. And let us set an intention to pray this prayer in a very unreasonable way. Let us intend to come out of this prayer transformed by the renewing of our mind. There are individuals on this planet right now without the luxury of being able to take this time to turn within, to pray this prayer in peace. So we do it on the behalf of all individuals everywhere. How grateful I am to move into this place of knowing that there is one energy, one power, one energy, love, God, only God. The presence that is unconditional love, the presence of love that is beyond the reasonable. There is a presence of love that is beyond the reasonable. Into that energy, we give our lives. We open our heart. We allow that loving presence, that loving energy that is beyond the reasonable to take over our lives, to take over this prayer, to take over this moment, that we may each and all become made new in this moment. How grateful I am to know that this one power, this one presence is everywhere. It is uniting us. It is surrounding us. And most certainly, it is filling us from the outside in, from the inside out. There is no space, no place where this presence is not, as Reverend Michael says. So Reverend Michael also says that the highest ability is our availability. Allow us to be available in this moment to this prayer. Open your heart, become receptive to the knowing that right where you are, there is a God presence that is unreasonable, that is making its way to you to be born anew within you. There is creativity, there is inspiration in you that is seeking to emerge right now. There is a clarity, there is a wisdom that is seeking to emerge within you right now. There is a vitality, a luminosity, a radiance, there is vital health, there is perfect health that is seeking to emerge as your life, as your consciousness right now. I know that within someone right now, there is abundance and prosperity that is seeking to be known within you that you have never known it before. How grateful I am to know this abundance, this opulence, this prosperity as our very nature, as our very birthright. Imagine the unreasonable right now for your life. it is most certainly reasonable for the God presence. And now that you have accepted this for your own life, for your own self, we ask that you open your heart, loan your heart, loan your consciousness for those who have called into our prayer ministry.